Hey Church family, I hope you are all doing well. This is my latest update video for you, and it's actually part one of a two-part series. For those of you who don't know, I absolutely love running. I try to run 6 times a week, somewhere between 6 to 10 miles a day, clocking in around about 50 miles a week. I love running. However, if you were to come to our house in the evening, particularly just before we were about to go to bed, you would witness a very strange ritual that I go through. So just before we go to bed, I will go to our boiler room and I'll take out my running vest, which is where I put all my stuff in, and I'll put it over the chair in our kitchen. I'll then lay out my hat, my buff, which is a scarf, gloves, head torch, earphones, one water bottle, and my mobile phone and my running watch, all out on the kitchen table. Now you might ask, why on earth do you do that, Adam? But I generally get up between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. And at 5:30 in January, with rain hammering down on the window, there are lots of reasons to hit the snooze button and to pull the duvet back over me, even though I love running. And so ritual, which is what I do every night, ritual or habit is there to help reduce the resistance to me fulfilling the thing that I actually love. Let me say that again. Ritual or habit is actually there not to constrain me, but to reduce the resistance that there can be so that I can actually do the thing that I love. I think this analogy of running and ritual and reducing resistance actually applies really powerfully into the life of a Christian. You see, my observation is that today, amongst Christians, the whole idea of setting up rituals or habits and setting up reducing practices has been thrown out with the bathwater of boredom and I don't want to get stuck in a rut. We see this particularly when it comes to the whole subject of having a daily quiet time or a daily devotion. People say, well, I don't want to do the same thing every day. If I do the same thing every day, it's going to get boring. But my observation is that when you take that approach, every morning you need to think, what am I going to do? Every morning you need to think, am I going to have a daily devotion or a quiet time? Every morning you need to exert huge amounts of energy on getting yourself to the place, that place that you love. You're having to exert huge amounts of energy, and so all it needs is a slight dip in your emotional energy, a slight dip in your enthusiasm, and you'll hit the snooze button and you'll pull the duvet back over. I think ritual or creating habits in your life is actually a really powerful tool to lead you easily to the place that you long to be, which is a life lived in devotion to God. We see this in the life of Daniel in the Old Testament. Daniel was a man plucked from his home country, transported into another nation, and then given a hugely high-powered job. And in the cut and thrust of pressure that must have been on his shoulders, Daniel created a ritual. Daniel created a habit. We see it in the story of Daniel that 3 times a day he prayed. 3 times a day. It was like he was not going to try and get up every morning and think, well, when am I going to pray? How am I going to pray? I'm just going to freestyle this. No, he'd created a ritual, a habit in his life, so that with all the ups and downs of life in a high-pressured environment, he was able to run to the thing that he longed for the most, which was devotion to his God, with the least amount of resistance. And so, friends, I want to encourage us that setting up habits or rituals in our lives is not it's not legalistic. It's not creating boredom in our life. What it's actually doing is stripping away all of those decisions that we have to make on a daily basis that can so easily hinder us from actually getting to the thing that we want to do. Like with my running thing, I wake up in the morning, I go downstairs. I've actually put all of my running clothes in a little closet in our downstairs loo so that I can just grab my clothes. I then go to the kitchen table, on goes my running vest, in goes all the things into the pockets, open the back door, and I'm off and I'm into the thing that I love. Ritual works in the same way. If we can reduce all of the questions and all of the things that can hinder us from actually getting to the thing that we love, we will be pursuing a life that we long for the most. And so my question to you today is this: have you created some rituals, some habits in your life that are leading you and stripping out all of the resistance so that you can get to that place of a daily quiet time, a daily moment or moments of devotion in the day when your hearts are turned towards God and you're allowing God to speak to you through His Word, and you're speaking to Him in prayer and you're quieting your heart so you can hear Him speaking to you? Have you created those habits, those rituals, or not? This week, I want to encourage you to think about that question. How can you create some habits? How can you create some rituals? How can you pull out and strip away all of the resistance so that you can get to that place of a daily quiet time as easily as possible? Next week, I'm going to share with you what I actually do and how I approach my quiet time, because again, I've tried to set it up in such a way that I don't have to think much about the structure or what I'm doing, because I want to be attentive to my God. I want to be attentive to God every morning as I quieten my soul and quieten my heart, because I want to hear Him. I want to hear Him through His Word. I want to hear Him as He speaks to me. I want to pray to Him about things that are important. But in order for me to do that, I've needed to create some rituals or habits, and I've needed to try and strip out as many of those questions and decisions that I need to make so that I can get straight to that place as quickly as I can. So the question I want you to think about this week is, what are the rituals or habits that you need to create in your life to try and pull away as much of the resistance to you having a daily quiet time as possible? Think on that one, and we'll catch up next week.